Everyday people working 9 to 5, saving up that money, trying to survive, investing in the future, trying to be wise. We're gonna be money heroes. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nik Johnson, host of Everyday Money Heroes, and I've reached early retirement. I'm here to provide information on how to obtain financial independence and inspire you through sharing stories of everyday people who are turning knowledge into freedom.
That hustle, always reaching for the sky. We're gonna be money heroes, never gonna shy.
And this is the Black Butterfly, Black Pearls podcast, where we talk about everything and nothing. Whoop, whoop. We have a very special guest today. We have Nik Johnson of Everyday Money Heroes podcast. Hello.
Hey, ma'am, how are you doing? It is
I'm
my
doing,
pleasure to be here.
thank you. I'm so happy you're here. So tell us a little bit about Everyday Money Heroes podcast.
Okay. Well, Everyday Money Heroes is just something that has been on my heart for a while. Ever since I was a little boy, honestly, I've always been very interested, not necessarily in money, but how money works and just how we can really attain things through having money. And so, really, it started when I was younger. As I got older, I learned more about money, how it wasn't just about ultimately using it to buy things. It was about actually having the ability to take that money and exchange it for your time. And so, literally, when I got to the point where I understood that through, living within your means, investing the difference, that honestly, you could one day be able to exchange that money that you work for to then have your time.
Okay, so speaking of exchange money for your time, you just recently retired.
I did. Yes, yes, ma'am. I early retired. The interesting thing about retirement is that when you tell people that you retire, typically one of the first things that they tell you is that you're not old enough to retire. And what a lot of individuals don't understand is that literally it's just a mathematical equation. That's all it is. When you get to the point where your investments are able to provide enough income for your cost of living, you don't need to work anymore. So therefore, you are retired. Some people are born retired because they're born into affluence. And so literally the day they're born, they never really had to work. Now, some of those individuals still desire to work, but they never had to work. So technically you could say at birth they were retired. And so now at this point, I'm 48 years old. I am retired. Does that mean I will never, ever make another penny in my life? I don't think so. But this frees me to be able to do some things like passion projects, like Everyday Money Heroes. It gives me the opportunity to go and do some other things, whether it is volunteer, go work for startup companies, whatever I want to. It kind of gives me that freedom and that ability to be able to do what I like to do.
Okay. Do you have advice for individuals who are interested in the field of money?
Oh man, if they're interested in the field of money, do you mean as far as like having a job in that field, or just in general when it comes to like personal finance?
Personal finance, because a lot of people are interested in saving money, keeping money, being everyday money heroes. So what advice would you give?
Man, um, probably the first thing that I would tell them is to understand that, the clear line between wants and needs. And that's extremely important because there's a lot of things that we want, but we don't necessarily need them. And so once we understand, our needs, as far as when we're fresh out of college, do we need a brand new car? Do we need to have a large apartment with the latest, and greatest appliances and furniture in it? Not really. So first of all, get a baseline, understand, that the sacrifices that you make early will take care of you in the future. And so right now, what I'm doing is that, current Nik is able to benefit off of the things that young Nik did, the sacrifices that he made back then. And it was a promise that, hey, you know what, if I do what I'm supposed to do now, older Nik will be able to enjoy those. So first of all, understand that, We have to all make choices in life, but just make sure that those choices that you make are setting you up for what you desire to do in the future. And if that is to one day be able to stop exchanging your time for money, you have to make those sacrifices sooner than later.
Okay. Tell me about a major business challenge you've had to face and how did you overcome it? And that could be in business or it could be in the field of money.
Business, wow. Probably the biggest challenge that I've had is that I have a very, very supportive wife. And at one point, I decided that I would like for us to start a business, and that business was to open a used car lot. And that was probably the biggest challenge that I had in my adult life, as far as getting there and it not going well, because I felt like I had a pretty good idea what was going on, and for that business to not go well, it was challenging. I would say it was a setback, but the thing about it is that even though it was a setback, some 23 years later, I'm able to sit here as an early retiree. So even when you make mistakes, it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily bounce back from those things. So doing that was the biggest challenge. I learned a lot of stuff about myself. I learned a lot of mistakes. And probably the biggest mistake that I learned about selling anything is that I learned that when you buy something with the intent on making a profit on it, is that you actually make the money when you buy it, not when you sell it. Because if you buy something at the wrong price, whether it be a car, a piece of real estate, if you're trying to ultimately sell that, you make your money when you buy it, not when you sell it, because typically nothing that you do can even get you to break even when you spend too much money to acquire something.
Okay. What is the unique thing about you to be able to retire early? So what is something unique about you?
Unique about me. I am weird in that, well, I'm weird in general about a lot of things, but probably what's unique about me is that the research shows that, there's like these dopamines and all kinds of things that go on when people like buy something and they get like this rush out of it. I get that rush out of like saving money, which is probably weird. So if I can like go somewhere and know that I just got a great deal on something, man, that just makes me so excited. So probably I enjoy, saving not only money, but also enjoy saving when I have to purchase something. That's something I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, why are you passionate about Everyday Money Heroes? Why are you passionate about that?
Everyday Money Heroes to me is about paying it forward. I always was kind of, I'm not going to say outcast, but I didn't have anybody else who was like interested in money like me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I wanted this to be a place for individuals who are interested in personal finance, whether you know a lot or a little. I want you to be able to come here and learn some things, but also really what Everyday Money Heroes is more about is like the stories of the people who are actually doing it. They're people who you may never know about. It's those individuals who move in a stealth wealth, individuals who you might be sitting by, in a store or behind them in the checkout lane, who might be going back and forth with the cashier over how something was didn't ring up right, and you might be sitting behind that person like, wow, let's go. It's only like 20 cents, but at the same time, this person's net worth is in the millions of dollars. Those people that you don't know about, and really spotlighting those individuals, because they are everyday folks, but they're doing the things that are needed, whether it's deferring gratification, or being willing to DIY something versus going and taking it someplace and getting it done. So just really what I want to do is share those stories to encourage everybody, because everyone's not going to be able to guess those 6 numbers for the lottery. Everyone's not going to sign that sports contract. Everyone won't be an individual that has hundreds of millions of followers or whatever on some social media platform and be able to monetize that. And so I think a lot of times people become disheartened and thinking that, hey, you know what, I'll never be able to reach financial independence. Well, you can. It might take some time, but if you have that discipline, you can do it. So what I want to do is really spotlight individuals who are doing that, along with sharing some of the fundamentals, like understanding, what, if ETFs are, understanding what dividends are, and what a Roth, and like all this other stuff. But it's only so many ways we can share that information. But I feel like it's just more impactful when we can see those individuals that are out there making those sacrifices, and we're able to celebrate them, and hopefully that will just act as a means of motivation for those individuals who are on that journey.
Yeah. What are you most excited about with this new venture?
Ah, man. Um, what I'm excited, first of all, is that I'm actually starting it, because it's been a while. I've been wanting to do this for some time, but unfortunately, I was still having to exchange my time for money, so I didn't have a lot of capacity to do it. Along with that, and kind of juggling other responsibilities of life, I did. So I'm just excited that I'm able to do it. I am a member of the FIRE community, which is Financial Independence Retire Early. I have gained a lot from this community, and my goal is to be able to give something back to it. And I know through this, I feel like it's an opportunity for me to go ahead and pay it forward, like I said before, and hopefully inspiring other individuals to do that. Because to me, this was just more of a, I had to trust the process, because I had heard about other people who said, hey, you know what, if you, live below your means, invest difference, and have, whether it's invested in low cost mutual funds or exchange traded funds, you could get there. But I personally didn't really know anybody who had achieved it. And so by me sharing this, it's saying, hey, you know what? Look at me. It is possible. Even if you don't know anybody else who's done it, I was able to do it. So just sometimes you have to trust the process. And this is what I want to do in doing this, is just showcasing that.
Okay. What traits do you most respect in other people?
Man, we're gonna talk. I guess we're talking about money here. So the traits that I admire, um, I appreciate traits where people are okay with being different, embracing their uniqueness. Far too often, I feel like people try to align themselves or to seek approval from others by acquiring materialistic things, whether it's having this car or this jacket, this purse, these shoes. I appreciate characteristics in people where, like, hey, you know what? I am uniquely made. I'm happy that I am. I appreciate individuals, but at the same time, I don't feel the obligation to conform. And so that's just really a trait I appreciate. People, I'm so happy when I see someone who is able to be happy in their own skin, and that's what I really appreciate.
Okay. What is your most biggest challenge in life?
My biggest challenge in life has always been just prioritization. That's probably my biggest challenge, because every day you have a new to-do list, and there's always new things being added all the time. And so really what my biggest thing is just, making sure that, what are the big rocks that I can move on a daily basis to move me and my family forward in what we would like to do in life. So really that is probably the biggest thing I would have to say.
Okay. So what's something people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh man, surprised to know about me. I like amusement parks. I was a roller coaster junkie for some time, so I still enjoy them. I enjoy. Okay, I enjoy. I enjoy going to parks and sitting under shade trees and doing absolutely nothing. So whether it is maybe like sitting there like listening to some smooth jazz, or having like a little like a lunch, I enjoy doing that, and it's always a plus if I'm able to do that with my beautiful wife. So that's really one of the big things I have.
Okay. Who is the most influential person in your life and how did they impact you?
And the most influential person. That's a tough one. Um, Most influential. Ooh, you threw me for that's a tough one there. Um, I would have to say the women in my life have been the most influential? I will say, as a child, it was definitely my mother. Um, as a young man, it was my wife. But as a husband, it was my daughter. And that's why I probably say that, because those are all like different forms of love. Now, granted, my son is very influential in my life as well. But I think kind of those are kind of some different buckets that really influenced me to go from being a provider to protector. Because my kind of sense of protection for my daughter is different than my sense of protection for my son. So that's what kind of made me do that. And all of a sudden, my mom just kind of showed me some traits that I feel like I still have to this day. So those are probably the most influential people in my life.
What's your biggest passion?
My biggest passion is just letting individuals know that they're able to do more than they think they can. So probably my biggest passion is just being a encourager and a motivator to individuals. And hey, you know what? When you don't think you have anything left, you got something left in you. Or if there's a challenge that you feel like you can achieve, that you can achieve it. So I'll probably say that's probably what I enjoyed most, is just really motivating people and just allowing individuals to understand that they're able to do things that they don't think they can do.
What do people misunderstand about you?
um, what probably people misunderstand about me is that I I have always worked a lot, always. So my first job I was 16 years old, and I honestly really have not stopped working until just a couple months ago. So that's 32 years. And I think people believe that I'm a workaholic and that I won't know how to sit down in retirement. I will sit down in retirement. Now, granted, I do now have the appreciation, the time, the capacity to do some of the things that I've always wanted to do because I was busy working.
Right.
So probably the biggest thing that people misunderstand is that I don't know how to do that. And I think probably what other thing that people don't understand about me is that I enjoy frugality and what it has brought me. But ultimately, my frugality has always been something with a end in mind, and it always was where we are right now. As far as like, hey, you know what? My goal is always, by the time I got 50, I didn't want to have to work if I didn't have to. I didn't want to have to work if I didn't have to. Yeah, and that was literally it. And so I was fortunate that I was able to achieve that, and I'm thankful for everybody who kind of gave me, just little nuggets along the way on how to best do that, how to achieve that, and people who motivated me along the way.
Okay, what is your biggest passion?
My biggest passion? Oh, I really like to volunteer. And so that's a really huge passion for me. I like to volunteer because I do feel a great sense of fulfillment of helping out individuals in which I'm not, who would not expect me to help them out. So as far as like, whether it's going to a school and passing out book bags, or going to a food bank and boxing up food, it doesn't really matter to me. That's what I get fulfillment out of. I enjoy it. And now I'm just thankful that I have more time to do things like that.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Yeesh. Okay, so I don't have to keep this all money related, do I?
No. These are
Man.
personal questions I'm asking you now. This is the personal part of it.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so the personal part of this is my biggest pet peeve is that I don't like complainers. Someone complains around me, that is a good way to get me to shut down. I've always felt like, and I'm not saying that as an individual, we can't have challenges in life and that we can't articulate those challenges. But at the same time, once you complain, that technically means that you have decided that you're not going to do anything about it. And so what I don't like is someone who gives up their power. And so my biggest pet peeve is that I cannot stand anyone who complains.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about yourself and why?
Man. Okay. You'll probably hear a couple themes in these questions. I used to call myself, like, one of the things I want to do in my early retirement is I want to learn Spanish. And so I have very limited Spanish, but there's like a sentence or two I know. and or phrases, and I used to call myself El Lobo Solitero, right? And so basically, what you asked me like was like kind of like my favorite characteristic or whatever of myself is that I'm okay with not fitting in with people. I'm perfectly fine with that. So, um, I it was not it was tough when I was younger because as a young person you want that acceptance. But as I got older, I feel like it's okay if I don't fit in with everybody. It's all right. But the weird thing about it is that in having that freedom, it allowed me to be myself, and I noticed that certain individuals were drawn to me just because I was willing to be myself. And so one of those things that I really the characteristic or trait is that I'm okay with being different. I'm perfectly fine with that. I used to listen to, I mean, typically, I used to listen to country music. I still listen to some country music. Most people wouldn't think I would listen to country music, but it's okay with me because I listened to it one day. My dad was a truck driver, and he exposed me to it, and I started listening to it along with everything else, as far as some of the other R&B and everything else I listen to. But so I'm just okay with being different. So I am perfectly all right with that.
Okay. What is the best compliment you've ever received?
Uh, Probably the best compliment I ever received is that when people look at me and my wife, they tell me that I married up. That's it. I enjoy that's one of my best compliments. And so I enjoy that because I think decisions that you make is extremely important, and I'm happy that I'm fortunate to have a good wife. So that's something I'm very proud
of. Okay. What's the most embarrassing memory that you have?
Oh, okay. I remember. So I've said I'm okay with being different, right?
Yeah.
So my most embarrassing memory is dress up day in elementary school. And so technically what would happen is that we would have dress up day like once a month, and everybody they would ask us to wear our best clothing there. And I remember I would dress up for dress up day because it's called dress up day. And one day I just got fed up with it. I'm like, why do they ask us to dress up for dress up day? And they never do anything for us or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I got them. I'm like, next dress up day, I'm wearing some of the most tatted, raggedy clothes I have just in protest. So I remember back when I was a kid, if you had cut off denim jeans as shorts, that was just the bottom of the barrel. So I was like, I'm gonna get me some jeans. I'm gonna cut them, and I'm gonna wear them to school. And so literally, that's what I did. I wore some cut shorts to school. What I didn't know was that day that there was a dress up day parade, and we all went to the auditorium, and we were all to like kind of parade around the auditorium in our best our best clothing. And so as I was sitting there very embarrassed, I had to walk around the auditorium in my cutoff jeans, and I had to realize that this was probably the worst day I could have decided to do that. So that was probably one of my most embarrassing moments, to be honest with you.
Okay, this is the last question. What are you proudest of in your life?
Man, stand the course. Just stand the course. That's what I'm proud of. Sometimes, we live in a immediate gratification society, and sometimes if we can't get it right now, we don't want it, or we lose faith that it can happen. And probably what I'm proud of is that this journey that started when I had my first job at 16 years old, where I was making, I want to say, maybe $4.10 an hour. That's what I want to say. I made maybe I feel like it was maybe like $3.85, and I got like a raise up to $4.10. I don't remember, but from that particular point where I started there, and even I remember from that particular point, like saving money. I remember the first big thing I ever saved for was a car. That was the first like big thing I saved for, because my parents said if you want a car, you get a job and you save the money up for it. And I remember at 16 years of age, I had saved up $1,500 to get a car. So that was like probably one of the my initial kind of proudest moments that I had. I was like, man, I was like, being a kid, making like no money at that point, for me to save up $1,500 was a pretty big accomplishment. So I think even like having that success at a young age, I realized that I had the ability to save money, and kind of starting from there and being where I am right I'm extremely thankful for it.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to share?
Okay. Just as far as anything that you want to ask me that you haven't shared, I've enjoyed all of your questions, but as far as there's anything else that you want to ask me, or I wish you would have asked me, it's just that what's the one thing I would encourage individuals to do to get themselves on the right path when it comes to being financially independent is that for them to know where their money is going. And I think if individuals really realized where their money was going, that they probably had a whole lot more fat that they could trim off their budget and start saving if they're not saving money yet. So, if you understand that, hey, you know what, I find myself spending, $100 or $150 a month on Starbucks, or if I find myself spending $200 a month on lunch when I'm at work, just really realizing what those things are. And those are things that we have control over. As far as, I have the ability whether I want to bring my lunch to work in the form of leftovers or just making sandwiches versus going out to eat. And that's money that we can actually save and put toward paying down a debt or investing or something like that. So probably my biggest thing would be to encourage individuals know where your money is going, so that way you can have control on where you put it.
All right. This is Adina. Our special guest was Nik with Everyday Money Heroes podcast. Check him out on Spotify and everywhere you get your podcasts. And this is Black Butterfly, Black Pearls. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much.